Wake up. Yeah, yeah.
Hi, what is your name and what
Let's
is your
get
position with
it.
WMBK?
Yeah, I'm Joe Himle. I'm a retired professor from the University of Michigan, a School of Social Work and Department of Psychiatry. And I've been working with Washtenaw My Brother's Keeper as, I don't know exactly what they call me, uh, but I've been working on research projects with them.
How long have you been involved with WMBK and how did you get involved?
Yeah, I think it's been about 3 years, I would estimate. And I got connected with a former student and mentee of mine named Hetty Briggs. Hetty knew some of the work that I was doing with trying to make digital or computer based mental health treatment more appealing and more likely for people to stay with it when they start. And they knew that that a lot of times people with digital mental health treatment, where you get most of your help from the computer. You might have a check-in with a person, but you do most of your mental health treatment on the computer. People do well with it, but they're often not. They don't find it that appealing, and they often drop out.
Mm.
And we're trying to make things better so people like it and stick with it and get the benefits from it. So she thought that Black youth, young adults had a need for mental health treatment, but often a gap between the need and the availability of service or services that people might be interested in. So she reached out to me because she was connected to Washtenaw My Brother's Keeper and said, "Hey, I wonder if one of your interventions, we call it Entertain Me Well." The idea is to try to make the computer treatment fun, interesting, and appealing. And so we use a story kind of like almost like Netflix meets psychotherapy training. So we use a kind of a kind of like a regular television series style to help people learn how to improve their mental health treatment. And she thought that the young men involved in this process in this program might benefit from a version of Entertain Me Well, our digital mental health treatment, that they might benefit from a version that was built by them, or at least their input was substantial. So we started working on this storytelling approach to learning mental health treatment. So I've been working with lots of folks there for the last 3 years or so.
Perfect, thank you. So
Mhm.
in your position, what does your participation with WMBK look like on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, or maybe even yearly?
Yeah, I would say that in an average year, I probably meet around once a month with people from My Brother's Keeper. And it's all around building different storylines
Mm.
for our entertaining mental health treatment. So we've worked with some of the folks who are or young adult participants at My Brother's Keeper, and then also some of the people who lead My Brother's Keeper. We're in a team together, and we work with the youth, with the young adults to come up with storylines that might be interesting and fun and appealing to the young men involved in My Brother's Keeper. And we write these stories together. So the idea is that when you're doing Entertain Me Well, you meet characters. It's an animated storyline, kind of like The Simpsons would be, or maybe Everybody Hates Chris or something like that, where there's a storyline that occurs, and we have to write it. So we try to put young adults into situations that they would that would be kind of true to their life, and then try to make a funny, fun, heartwarming, sometimes a little sadness inducing story, so that people get sucked into the story. So
Mm.
when you go to session one, you start to learn some of the basic ways to improve your mental health, but you watch a retrospective story of a character try to use those same tools. Sometimes they work out well, sometimes they don't. And but we try to make it fun and different. And there's a cliffhanger at the end of every session, so you kind of wonder, what happened to the characters? What's going on in the story? And so we hope that people are are interested in coming back for the second week and the third week and the fifth week and the 10th week, we hope want to come back and keep going with the treatment because they need the treatment. And also they want to know what happened in the story. So we write stories that youth guide us to a collaborative effort to write stories that are relevant to their life.
That's fascinating. Thank you so much. So,
Mhm.
have you always had an interest in mental health based work? And if not, how's that developed over time?
Yeah, I started out undergraduate school at Michigan, at the University of Michigan, and I thought I was going to be an architect. But I
Hmm?
found out that I wasn't particularly good at math, nor particularly good at art. And you need to be really good at both of those two things if you're going to be an architect. So I found out that maybe I'm better at appreciating other people's architecture and not creating it myself. So
Okay.
I've tried to find something that maybe fit my skills better. And one thing led to another, and psychology became the thing for me. So I graduated with my bachelor's degree in psychology, and I knew I wanted to do mental health treatment after that. So my mental health interest goes back to the very end of my undergraduate years, so the early 80s when I was finishing up my bachelor's degree at Michigan. Then I went on to get further into mental health treatment, I guess starting at age 23 or so, 24. And then I was in the mental health track at the School of Social Work, working on my master's degree. Then I started working in the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Michigan Medical Center, working in a clinic called the Anxiety Disorders Program. So I started working, that was 40 years ago. I started working with people with anxiety disorders and depression, helping patients. Then I started teaching others how to be helpful to people with anxiety and depression. And then I went back and got my PhD and became a researcher, trying to develop and design new treatments or better treatments for anxiety and depression. And that's been sort of my life ever since. So I started many, many years ago, over 40 years ago, with a deep interest in mental health treatment.
Well, very nice. So I know you touched on, what your background and what your work is
Mhm.
outside of WMBK, but how does that work influence the approach to the work you do with WMBK?
Yeah. I mean, my main goal is I don't think it's acceptable for there to be this many people out there in the world who aren't getting help for mental health treatment.
Mm.
Some people do research to improve mental health treatment, like make it more effective. Can I help people be even happier or help people be even less anxious? That's really good work. No question about it. It's important. They're trying to design medicine to do that. They're trying to design psychotherapies to do that. But the target for my career was kind of based on, I think, a lot of, kind of what it was like to grow up in my family, where my parents were very active in the 60s in the anti-poverty movement, civil rights movement, anti-war movement. That was kind of what our house was about. So I had a lot of early life experiences and watching my parents care a lot about equity, care a
Mm.
lot about fairness, care a lot about injustice. And so the thing that I thought was the injustice that really drove me was that some people have access to mental health treatment and some people don't. So they don't for several reasons: money, they don't know about what's available, or they're too far away from treatment. There's nobody nearby. They live out in a rural area, or the mental health treatment doesn't seem to be made for them. So I hung a target on trying to make mental health treatment more available. So I feel like my early life, my psychology training got me interested in equity, fairness, and injustice. And for me and our research team, which was, a substantial number of researchers working on this topic, was basically connected to this idea of equity and fairness and trying to make mental health treatment something that anyone can get. And we'll never have enough therapists for the need. We'll never have enough social workers, nurses, psychiatrists to fit the need. We're not producing that many more. And there's lots of people with mental health treatment. So that's why computer assisted treatment is really
Yeah.
helpful, in my view. You have to get most of it on the computer and then maybe have a 5 or 10 minute check in call once a week with a clinician. And that is a nice model for getting lots of people the treatment they need. And digital mental health treatment is way cheaper than spending hour after hour with a therapist. So if we can just make it fun and interesting and relevant to people's lives, then I think we've got a really good chance of getting a lot of people to use it. And if they use it, they'll probably improve. And so therefore, I feel like myself and the people I work with, it really in the end is a justice and equity thing about mental health treatment. That tends to be my area. If I was an architect, maybe I'd be caring about affordable housing. But I'm not an architect, and but I do care about affordable mental health treatment. I don't know
Perfect.
if that
Thank you so
helps, but
much. Yeah, of course, of
that's
course. That's actually
mhm,
a perfect answer to the question.
mhm.
Again, you touched on it again in your past
Yeah,
answers, but how does your work with WMBK fit into your passion and life goals?
yeah. I mean, I think it's a great fit because among the most underserved when it comes to mental health treatment use is our young Black men. Um, there's lots of people who don't get mental health treatment, lots of other groups, but this is a particular group that is kind of somewhat less interested in traditional mental health treatment than the average person, although lots of people are not interested in mental health treatment. Let's tell you right there. Not a lot of people want to go see a therapist, so that's true. But on top of that, the utilization rates, the use of mental health treatment is particularly low in this group. And here came Hetty with a chance to work with a new group. So our team got into it. And my team is now led, my former team, since I'm semi retired, is led by a woman named Addie Weaver.
Oh, right.
And so
Yep.
there's Addie's worked with me since she was finished just out of school. And we worked together for over a decade now. And now she's the leader of this group that I still participate with that is kind of focused on mental health treatment equity. And so My Brother's Keeper fits perfectly. It's an underserved group that expressed an interest in what we're doing. I had a bridge to connect with My Brother's Keeper from a former student and colleague now. So it's a combination of there's a problem that fits with what I'm trying to work on, and I have access to a population I care about. So that worked out great. You got to
Perfect.
kind of go where the opportunities come. It's a little bit like, if you're out on the hunt, it probably makes sense to have a place to go and hunt. And you can't hunt everywhere. So if somebody's got a good place to hunt, you go there. And Hetty
Yep.
showed a great
Yeah.
place for me to go, right? A great place for me to go to maybe do some good. That's the deal. And also have a little fun with this story building that we do.
All right. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Joe. Thank you for
Yeah.
finding the time for today's interview, and I hope to speak to you again
Fear
soon.
is just a construct of us when confronted with the tough times. Luck is just another side of hope. You get what was on the other side, fronting on another spot. Like Cain to have a brother tying rope. Is it dope or the gram or the ham or the